Did you guys know that Qatar's ranked 5th in the world for healthcare? You know what also goes with 5? High five!
This episode of QTips is brought to you by Avey, your medical AI pal. Discover the Avey and Remedies app on iOS and Android right now. Remedies, reimagining healthcare using computer science.
So once again, thank you very much, Avey, for working with us for this episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the history of healthcare in Qatar. Salam alaikum, everyone. It's me, Mr. Q, your friendly neighborhood Qatar here, and there's a lot to share. So buckle your seatbelts.
Why do we need to wear seatbelts?
Because we're going to be taking a trip through time, baby.
Man, I wish I could go back in time.
Did you guys know that before 1943, there were no hospitals? We had to rely on traditional medicines and herbs.
Using only the freshest herbs and spices.
No, there's no spices. It's just, traditional stuff. When your grandma would tell you that ginger cures everything. It does cure everything, but you know, all we have was ginger.
Just like Robitussin.
I don't know what that is. It's American stuff.
That's all we had when I was a kid, Robitussin. No matter what you got, Robitussin better handle it.
You know what's funny though? My grandmother, God rest her soul, would always tell me that 7-Up would like cure stomach pains or cure cramps. Like 7-Up was like this magical drink. And she would always say it has no colors in it. You know, there's no like extra chemicals. It's crystal clear.
That's in America too. They tell you if you have an upset stomach, do 7-Up. Or if you're sick, to drink 7-Up.
I think 7-Up created that myth. Could you just imagine like the cure to everything is 7-Up? But by the way, 7-Up, if you want to sponsor this episode or any future episode, get in touch, okay? Get in touch. See, that could have been you. That could have been you in my hand. Anyway, what were we talking about again? Yeah, in 1943. So back then as well, people would travel to Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Iran, so that they can get professional treatment. And then all of a sudden, Sheikh Abdullah bin Jassim Al Thani said, wait a minute, we need a hospital. So later in 1947, that's when the hospital was built. And who supported it? American Mission. And do you know how many people could get treated at that hospital, Tim?
500.
No. Try again.
30.
You're getting closer. It's actually 12. 12 in-bed patients. So it was in 1948 to 1950s that around 75 outpatients per day visited the hospital. I'm just imagining queues of people, just like, you know, like they go in through one door and then they exit through the other.
Form an orderly queue, ladies.
I just had a thought. If you were sick before there was a hospital, how would you get a doctor's note? Would your mom be able to write the doctor's note? Now, you know, you just have a little cough, you're like, doctor's note. You know, like, here's the paper.
He has a doctor's note.
I'm going to describe what Dr. Mary Allison said about it. And after I describe it, you guys are going to wish that you could visit the hospital. Usually you want to stay away from the hospital, but based on this description, it sounds awesome.
It's awesome, baby.
She said it was a mostly walled square enclosing a large empty courtyard with 2-storied rooms around the edges. Not well built, but you know, gives it that little rustic flavor, you know what I'm saying? The downstairs rooms were used as a clinic. On the ground floor, that's where you found the clinic. And on the second floor, or the next floor, that's where you had rooms for the nurses, the cook, and herself, Dr. Mary Allison. Now, probably the only thing that wasn't awesome and beautiful besides the view was the bathroom, because the bathrooms were far away and had poor facilities and very cold water. Let me just tell you something. Clearly, she hasn't lived through a proper summer, or either it was that or it was super cold back then. But cold water? Like, we wish we would have cold water. Remember when Hamad went to the toilet? This is what happened.
In the summer, beware.
And the Mission Hospital continued to operate as a government-funded hospital until the 1950s. In 1952, a competition happened where they gave architects the opportunity to bid to create the next amazing hospital. And that hospital was Rumaila Hospital. Just in case you don't know what a Rumaila is, and people are going to be like, wait a minute, did he just roll his tongue? Yes, I did. You might know it as Rumaila. The hospital was praised for being quite an intelligent design because of its focus on the environment and climate. But 1952, that's when the competition happened. It was in 1957 that the hospital actually opened. Oh, and by the way, that hospital is still operating until today. That's some good craftsmanship. You know, make them like they used to. Then came the 1970s. While people in America were dancing to disco, that's when we had our Amiri decree for the Hamad Medical Corporation. HMC walked in like, hey, what's up? We're here to cure everyone. In the 1980s, we didn't really have the most sophisticated ambulances. In fact, they were just suburban cars with like a driver and a technician. So you could actually think about it. Like, it would have been the same if you had just like called your bro and said, hey bro, I'm dying. He would have just passed by in his Toyota Corolla and picked you up, you know?
Hey bro, I know it's the 80s and I'm on a smartphone, but a camel just kicked me in the chest. I think I'm dying.
1 hour later.
Hey man, come on, get in. You're dying. Take you to the hospital, bro. But you gotta pay for the gas though, okay? Now the HMC has done some pretty amazing things. They've grown from just 1 hospital to 12 today. 9 of these hospitals are specialist hospitals too, so if you need some specific treatment, yeah, the specialists have got you. Now, to put things into perspective, back in 1979, the population was around 220 to 250,000 people. That's it. Today, 2.8, almost 3 million, on the way to the 3.0. Now, the really cool thing, like the really cool thing is, remember how I said like we had paper bays, we had like people picking you up in cars, we had hardly any technology? Well, now Qatar has one of the most sophisticated and up-to-date technology systems in the world for the medical sector. As of 2019, as I said, Qatar is now ranked 5th in the world for health. And this study has been done by Legatum Institute in London. Sources down below. Here's some extra facts too. Qatar has the highest life expectancy rate in the Eastern Mediterranean region and globally ranked in the top 25 percentile for healthcare access and quality. I don't know why, but I just now kind of felt like my lifespan has been extended by me just being in Qatar. You know what I mean? Like, I all of a sudden feel like I'm going to live forever.
And I will live forever.
And Qatar's healthcare spending is among the highest in the region. In 2019, they spent over 22.7 billion riyals. That's a billion with a B.
That's billion with a B.
Now, of course, here in Qatar, you can find government hospitals as well as private hospitals too. One of the really cool things is that the healthcare system is fully subsidized, not only for Qataris, but for all of the residents too. Now, one of the things that I'm really proud of is back when the pandemic started, for those of you that are watching this in, I don't know, 2030, that's what happened in 2020, in March, the government said, listen, don't worry, when there's a cure, we'll be sure to share it with everyone. So yeah, I feel blessed that we have a medical facility that's there for the people. So way back when, we started with traditional remedies, and now Qatar boasts numerous high-tech hospitals and clinics throughout the country. Speaking of high-tech, did you know that there's now an app in Qatar that can give you a personalized and reliable medical assessment instantly? When you feel unwell, talk to Avey, your medical AI pal. Once you tell him your symptoms, he'll ask you a few simple questions to complete the analysis of your medical assessment. Once Avey knows your medical assessment, he can connect you to the best doctor for your case, physically or virtually. Remedies is the company that founded Avey, and the app is available for download both on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Q-Tips. We drove down memory lane. And if you did like it, please don't forget to give us a like. Don't forget to share. And of course, when you see that bell, the bell's feeling kind of sick. And if you give it a little click, it'll cure him. Cure the bell. His life is in your hands now. That's it, man.